Welcome back to the deep dive. We cut through the noise to get straight to the insights you need. Now, this conversation is part of the Journey series by ACE. ACE is a cross-border boutique investment bank, and it's centered around a global investor and business owner network. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something really fascinating and honestly incredibly impactful. It's the emerging world of Insurtech in the Middle East and North Africa, the MENA region. We're working from a really fantastic report here. It was put together by a sharp student, Kushi Nithyanand, under the Young Founders School. And ACE was actually proud to advise on that program.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here, what this deep dive really gets into, isn't just about a massive untapped market, though it is that. It's more about a profound societal need. It's not just tech for tech's sake. We're talking about addressing fundamental needs for protection, for stability, things that have, well, frankly, gone unmet for millions in the region for too long. It's innovation solving urgent human and economic problems.
Okay, let's really unpack this then. The core problem, the foundation for this opportunity, is men's massive insurance gap. You might actually be surprised to hear this, but in many MENA countries, insurance penetration, that's the total value of premiums versus GDP, it just hovers below 2%.
Under 2%. It's
Yeah.
incredibly low.
Right. Compare that to the global average, which is usually somewhere between, 6% and 10%?
Easily. Sometimes higher.
So you really start to see the scale of this gap. It's not a small difference, it's a chasm. And it points to, well, a multi-billion-dollar growth opportunity just waiting for innovation.
And if you connect that number to the bigger picture, you see it's not just a dry statistic about finance, that gap. It's a direct indicator of a lack of social protection, a lack of economic stability across the region. It impacts households, small businesses, entire communities, really.
So there's an urgent demand for something new because the old models aren't working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Traditional insurance just isn't cutting it. And what's driving this urgency? Well, several powerful forces are converging. Climate change vulnerability is huge. Think about the UAE, Saudi Arabia, they're increasingly exposed. Extreme weather, water scarcity.
These aren't abstract risks anymore.
Not at all. They translate into real, tangible threats to farms, to infrastructure, to people's lives. So you need resilient solutions now.
And it's not just climate, right? You also mentioned the rise of SMEs, small and medium enterprises.
Absolutely. SMEs are booming. They're the backbone of many economies there, but often they have very little financial protection. They're growing, but they often can't access or even afford traditional insurance. It leaves them incredibly vulnerable.
Okay, so climate risk, SME vulnerability. What else?
Then there's the digital adoption across MENA. It's widespread. And that's sort of a double-edged sword. It shows a population ready for digital solutions. But it also highlights how outdated those traditional paper-based insurance models really are.
Right. They feel out of step.
Completely. So all this combines to create this urgent need for innovative insurance. Not just for climate or disasters, but crucial coverage for the gig economy that's growing fast, and for farmers who are often on the front lines of climate change and usually left out of the financial system. It's really about building a safety net that just hasn't existed before.
That's a really powerful way to frame the problem. It makes you wonder, how can a region that's so advanced in some ways have this fundamental gap? But, okay, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where Insurtech comes in as a potential solution. We hear the term a lot. For you, our listener, think of it like fintech, but specialized. It's using technology specifically to shake up insurance services, make them faster, more inclusive, and hopefully much more cost-effective.
And that's exactly why Insurtech isn't just a smart bet for MENA. You could argue it's the only bet that can really bridge that huge gap we talked about. What's really powerful is how it's being used there. It can bypass those traditional barriers, leapfrog the old, slow, expensive legacy systems.
Leapfrog? How?
Well, think about AI-driven underwriting. Instead of weeks of paperwork, policies can be issued, claims assessed, sometimes in minutes.
Minutes? Seriously?
Yeah, that speed doesn't just mean efficiency. It fundamentally builds customer trust. And trust is a massive hurdle in a region where traditional insurance often seems complex, slow to pay out.
So speed equals trust. Interesting.
Exactly. And that trust gets amplified by mobile-first access. For so many people across MENA, especially outside big cities or among gig workers, their smartphone is everything. It's their main link to digital services.
So Insurtechs are building for that reality.
They have to. We're seeing user-friendly apps, sure, but also simpler tech like USSD codes.
USSD, like those text menus on basic phones.
Precisely. They work without internet. We saw Bima in Africa use that approach really effectively for microinsurance, reaching millions of daily workers. It's not just convenience, it's genuine financial inclusion for people previously considered too hard or unprofitable to reach.
That's a huge step for accessibility. Are there other innovative approaches driving this?
Oh, absolutely. Another game changer is embedded insurance.
Embedded meaning.
Meaning insurance isn't a separate thing you have to go out and actively buy. It's just
Yeah.
built into services you already use.
hmm
Imagine getting crop insurance bundled with your farmer's loan automatically, or fiber coverage included with your SME bank account.
Ah, so it becomes almost invisible. Less friction.
Exactly. It shifts insurance from something you have to be sold to a safety net that's just there. And for those climate risks, parametric insurance is revolutionary.
Parametric. How does that work?
Instead of proving your loss with lots of paperwork, it pays out automatically based on a predefined trigger. Say, a specific heat level is recorded by weather data, or rainfall hits a certain drought threshold. The data confirms it. The payout happens fast.
Wow, no lengthy claims process, just quick relief based on data.
Vital, timely relief,
Oh,
especially for climate events.
that's an incredible toolkit Insurtech offers. It really makes you wonder, where in MENA are we seeing the most traction? Which areas are leading this?
Yeah, it's definitely not uniform. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt are really emerging as the frontrunners here. They aren't just adopting the tech, they're actively creating environments for it to flourish.
How are they doing that?
Through things like supportive regulatory sandboxes, ambitious government plans like Saudi's Vision 2030 or the UAE's net zero goals. These explicitly push for tech innovation and diversifying the economy. And crucially, they have large, young, very tech-savvy populations who are eager for digital solutions. They're not just consumers, they're early adopters.
Right. Building on that momentum, then, what does this all mean for the future? Are there strong signals that this is really taking off?
Oh, definitely. The signals are quite strong. One of the biggest is just the sheer scale of digital adoption we already touched on. Over 70% of MENA's population is under 35. Smartphone penetration is over 90% in the Gulf. But it's more than just having phones. It's about digital literacy and digital expectation. This generation demands digital services. It's fertile ground.
And does that digital readiness translate into investor confidence? Money flowing in?
It seems so. Investor momentum is definitely building. We're seeing significant funding rounds. Like Rasan, they're a Saudi Insurtech, behind the platform Tamini. They raised $24 million in their Series A. That's serious backing.
24 million.
Wow.
And it shows real belief in their digital-first model, especially for car insurance there. Then in Egypt, you have Amenlay. They became the first fully licensed digital insurer. And they're apparently getting great traction with young, first-time insurance buyers who like the simplicity of buying online.
So real market demand meeting investor appetite.
That's the picture. These aren't just one-offs. They signal something bigger is happening.
And it sounds like governments are helping pave the way.
They are, and that's critical. Regulatory support is a huge enabler. You've got initiatives like Dubai's FinTech Hive, which even has an Insurtech accelerator track, and their VARA sandbox for virtual assets also helps create a pro-innovation space. The UAE even has a minister dedicated to AI, and their electronic transactions law is quite progressive.
So it's like a clear signal from the top.
It feels like an explicit invitation for innovation, yeah. It provides that enabling environment that's often missing elsewhere.
Okay, those are definitely positive signs. But like any fast-moving market, there have to be challenges, right? What are the unique roadblocks for Insurtechs in MENA? Maybe different from what you'd see in, say, Europe or the US.
That's a really crucial point. The potential is huge, but so are the hurdles. Regulatory fragmentation is a big one. So while the UAE and Saudi have these helpful sandboxes, many other countries, Morocco, Algeria, Jordan, for instance, they still lack really clear, consistent licensing paths for digital-first models.
Meaning it's hard to scale across the region.
Incredibly difficult. A success story in Dubai might hit a regulatory wall trying to expand to Cairo or Amman. It's a patchwork.
Right. What else?
Trust and adoption are still major issues in some places. Insurance isn't just seen as a luxury sometimes. It can be deeply misunderstood or even viewed with suspicion. And you have cultural sensitivities, especially around life insurance versus takaful products.
Takaful being the Sharia-compliant model.
Exactly. It's based on mutual cooperation, shared risk, not conventional interest. Insurtechs need to understand that nuance. Maybe integrate takaful principles digitally to really connect.
It's a deep cultural layer. Any practical hurdles? Infrastructure.
Yeah, infrastructure gaps are still there, especially outside big cities. Consistent, affordable internet isn't everywhere, which limits purely app-based solutions. And maybe even more critical for AI underwriting. There's often a lack of good, reliable, digitized customer data, especially for SMEs or informal workers.
The data gap. How do you underwrite accurately without good data?
That's the key question, isn't it? How do you bridge those data gaps to make AI truly inclusive and effective? It's a foundational challenge.
And one last thing.
Maybe the pressure around profitability. Many startups sometimes have shorter funding runways, less access to that later stage venture capital you see elsewhere. So there can be intense pressure to show profits really quickly, which isn't always easy in insurance, and might push companies away from long-term growth or market building.
Wow. It's such a striking mix, isn't it? Massive potential, meeting these significant, deep-rooted challenges, a region truly in transformation.
It really is. But despite those hurdles, that foundational need for protection for people, businesses, communities, it's undeniable. Combine that with the rapid digital uptake and that growing, even if uneven, regulatory support, it really feels like Insurtech is poised to be a cornerstone of sustainable fintech growth in MENA, offering both financial and social protection.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, how technology, when it's applied thoughtfully with that cultural sensitivity you mentioned, how it can tackle some of the most fundamental gaps, creating not just, financial value, but actual well-being. It's a compelling vision for finance and society there. Definitely something to mull over until our next deep dive.